Okay, this is our cold frame. Basically what a cold frame is a underground greenhouse. It it's constructed out of cinder block, and in this case, the cinder blocks are fully grouted, and so they you don't. Basically, that's done to raise the mass, and then we put some used windows that we found off Craigslist in here that provide the glass. They came from somebody that had re-windowed their house. So this thing runs year round, but we didn't run it this last fall, so we've got to go in and weed it and get all the junk pulled out before we can get it ready to go. Pulling up all the marker stakes, and we had a soaker hose in there for watering. We're just gonna get all of that stuff pulled out.
This was a cultivator that had a
lot of Bermuda
4-cycle
grass that has come up in there. That's leftovers from the compost, essentially. This used to be just a cultivator that was a 4-cycle cultivator, gas engine, and the problem was it lost compression a couple years ago. I didn't want to throw it away, and so we mounted an electric motor on it and changed it from a 4-cycle to a 60-cycle. So the only place that we use this is in the cold frame and in the raised beds, because it's small enough that we can get in there and till things up a little bit. So it's not a big deal to have to plug it in. We'll get all of this tilled up before we add more compost to it. Getting tangled up in the cords here. That's the only drawback about having the electric one.
The concept behind the cold frame is it's constructed, it's buried in the ground, and it's constructed out of cinder block. Those cinder blocks are fully grouted. They're completely filled with cement. And that was done to raise
We'll go ahead and
of the walls.
once we get all of this done, we'll probably add some fresh manure around the outside, which as that ferments, it will generate heat.
Like tonight, it's supposed to be down to 22.
And help to heat the cold frame. We talked about possibly because it's been getting down into the 20s at night, you know, putting a heat lamp in there, at least until the seeds generate. But what we discovered is that that's pretty much a non-issue with the manure around the outside. I'll show you later in the video. I actually took a thermal imaging camera and took pictures of the cold frame and what's going on. The heat signature coming off of this is incredible.
Horse manure up against the sides, and as that ferments, it will also generate heat, and therefore, you know, end up helping to heat the cold frame. So that's why we're able to run it year round. Year round. But we're going to go ahead and get it planted and hopefully get a good crop, you know, in the next month or so. So our compost is made up of
Here we're adding fresh compost,
food scraps,
if you can call it fresh. The problem with horse manure and chicken manure is it's way too hot. It'll actually burn your plants, and so we have to fully compost it. It takes us 2 years to make a batch of compost. So there's a large pile out there that is continually digesting, if you will, and it, like I said, it takes 2 years to make it. But once it's made, it doesn't smell. It's it's fully composted. It's just great soil, and that's what we use in the cold frame and in the raised beds. Now we got to spread it all out and get it leveled. Picking some rocks out. Sometimes it's hard to tell what's rocks and what's dirt clods. This is the 15th of January and it's 62 degrees out, which is just unheard of for us. You know, there should be, you know, realistically a couple of feet of snow on the ground by now. But, you know, it makes for nice weather to get this job done. Putting the soaker hose back in. We're going to go ahead and wet this down. We won't plant until tomorrow, but we want to get the water table built up in it. So we'll get it wet down, and that'll also raise the humidity. So this is the completed cold frame, and we'll let this water tonight, and then tomorrow we'll come in and plant.
We'll water it again tomorrow.
Got the water running in there. Try and get the water table built up.
So it's currently
Before we plant.
80 degrees and 20% humidity inside the cold frame. So we'll, and that's with the window partially cracked open. So we'll take.
Okay, you can see tonight. We are at 80 degrees.
We're going to go ahead and get it opened up and
20% humidity.
We put the water.
And it's like 54 is the ambient
to help it.
So there is a significant increase inside the cold frame.
Later tonight after dark, and you'll be able to see the difference between the ambient ground. In fact, I'll take one now, you know.
This is a thermal imaging camera, and you can see just the heat signature coming off of the manure that's on the sides of the cold frame.
Okay, we're gonna take and scoop some of this dirt off the sides of the cold frame, and
basically the
put down
the finished cold frame. This is the
fresh
next
manure,
day, and
so that it can.
We're gonna dig out.
It can basically ferment and cook.
Some of the dirt.
Yeah, it'll
so
help keep the cold frame
and
throughout the rest of the winter.
Manure in there. This is just taking some of the soil out from against the cinder block so that I can get more manure in there. The more that I get in there, the more that it will ferment and generate heat. It'll heat the cold frame from the outside. We're adding the manure in. Try and get the manure stacked up as high on the sides as we can. You'll see here as we get done that we've pretty much filled it up all the way to the top. Here's another load. And again, this is fresh manure. This is the stuff that has not been composted yet, because we essentially want it to compost over here. A couple years ago, I was burning the garden off before we did the raised beds, and so I was burning all the weeds and everything off. And at that time, the compost pile was right next to the garden, and I ended up setting the compost pile on fire. It took me multiple weeks to get it out because of the amount of methane that was being generated. It was continually burning. Here we're just scraping the with a rake all the extra manure off of the windows, getting it positioned around the sides of the cold frame.
Now the secret sauce is water. We'll clean the windows and also
Now
get
the secret sauce.
all the manure
Water.
wetted down.
We're going to clean the windows and the glass first and get all this stuff brushed off. But then we're also going to wet down the manure pile on either side of the cold frame and just get it nice and damp, and that'll help it ferment. And then we come in here and open it up. Now we're going ahead and planting. What we planted in there this season was onions. We did some bush beans and some snow peas. Vanessa's doing spinach. Right now, 2 rows of spinach, 2 rows of romaine. We did carrots, we did beets, and we did radishes. Most of it was, like I said, root vegetables. But beyond that, because there's not a lot of height inside the cold frame. We're limited on what we can put in there. We've done some tomatoes and stuff in the past, but you got to be very careful because some of these tomato plants can get really tall, and even at the high end of the cold frame where I'm down now, I've only got about 3 feet of distance. So, and at the shallow end, I've got about 1 foot of distance. So we plant the lettuce and the spinach, all the low-lying crops down on that end, and then gradually work to where we've got taller varieties. Like I said, in years past, this has run year-round. What we're hoping to accomplish with this, we're planting on the 16th of January, is that in about 6 weeks we'll have a salad, and then we'll replant in the summer. After our lettuce and stuff has come up in the raised beds in the big garden, we'll pull all of this stuff out and replant again, so that we'll have stuff, midsummer. that's it. We got it all planted. This is another shot from our thermal imaging camera, and you can see just the heat signature coming off. It's 24 degrees outside ambient right now, and what we're discovering is that you know, the compost or the manure on the sides is running about 80 degrees. Now this shot here, I cracked the window, and you can see the heat signature coming from inside the cold frame. You don't really see that when the windows are closed because the thermal imaging, the IR, it doesn't transmit through the glass. So, but that is just an incredible heat signature. So thanks for watching.